Why is this black riffraff standing in my building? Gerald Morrison, $300 million, tailored gray suit, decades of unchecked power, stared at a black teenager like she was roadkill. Answer me. Italian leather shoes clicked against marble. Welfare doesn't cover manners. You're a disgusting, fake, heiress. Get your black ass out before I have you arrested for breathing. The 17-year-old didn't blink. So Gerald spit in her face. Saliva ran down the girl's cheek. 12 witnesses. Dead silence. Then the teenager smiled. 4 minutes, sir. Gerald laughed. This nobody threatening him? He didn't see the elevator descending. Didn't know 8 executives were about to step out and do something that would shatter everything he'd built. When those doors opened, Gerald went white. His knees gave out. He grabbed the counter, gasping, like his whole world just crumbled. What they did? Nobody saw it coming. Watch this to the end. I promise it's worth it. 3 weeks earlier. Destiny Hayes wakes up at 6:14 in the morning. The alarm on her phone plays a soft chime, the same one her grandmother set years ago. She never changed it. Changing it would feel like erasing something, like admitting Eleanor is really gone. The apartment is small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen where the faucet drips if you don't turn it hard enough to the right. The walls hold photographs in mismatched frames. Destiny as a baby, wrapped in a yellow blanket. Destiny at her 8th grade graduation, braces gleaming. Destiny and her grandmother standing in front of a tall building neither of them could afford to enter. She doesn't look closely at that photo anymore. It hurts too much. Eleanor Hayes passed away 3 months ago. Heart failure. She went quietly in her sleep, the way she did everything, without making a fuss, without asking for attention, without burdening anyone. Destiny found her in the morning, still warm, a slight smile on her lips, like she'd been dreaming of something good, something peaceful. The apartment still smells like lavender. Eleanor's scent, her signature. Destiny keeps a small bottle of the oil on her nightstand. Some nights, when the loneliness gets too heavy, she opens it just to remember, just to feel her grandmother's presence one more time. Today, Destiny pulls on jeans and a worn sweater. She walks 4 blocks to the East Side Community Center, where she volunteers 3 afternoons a week. It's not glamorous work. It doesn't pay, but it matters. She waters the plants in the front garden. She helps Mrs. Patterson sort donated books. She listens to Mr. Coleman tell the same story about his time in the Navy, for the 11th time. She doesn't mind. Listening is easy. Listening costs nothing. And sometimes, the people who need to be heard the most are the ones nobody else has time for. Around her neck, she wears a thin silver chain with a small pendant, the letter H. Her grandmother gave it to her on her 16th birthday. The memory is still sharp, Eleanor's hands trembling slightly as she fastened the clasp. "This is important," Eleanor said. Her voice was serious, almost urgent. "Keep it close. Promise me." Destiny promised. She assumed the H stood for Hayes, their family name. She never asked for more explanation. Her grandmother wasn't the type to explain things twice, and Destiny wasn't the type to push. At 4:30 in the afternoon, Destiny returns home. A letter waits in the mailbox. Thick envelope, cream-colored paper. The return address reads, Foster and Associates, Attorneys at Law. Her stomach drops. She assumes it's about the apartment. The lease was in her grandmother's name. Maybe she's being evicted. Maybe the landlord finally decided a 17-year-old can't live alone. Maybe this is how it ends, with a legal letter and a 30-day notice. She opens it anyway. Better to know than to wonder. The letter is brief. It requests her presence at a meeting. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Hathaway Tower, Suite 4401. She's never heard of Hathaway Tower. She reads the letter 3 times. There's no explanation, no context, just a name, Theodore Foster, and a request that she bring identification. Destiny folds the letter carefully. She places it on the kitchen table, next to the salt shaker and the unpaid electric bill. 2 pieces of paper that will determine her future. That night, she irons her only white button-down shirt. She cleans her sneakers with a damp cloth. They're old, but they're presentable. Her grandmother taught her that much. You don't need expensive things. You need clean things. You need to show up looking like you respect yourself. She doesn't sleep well. Dreams come in fragments. Marble floors, tall buildings. Her grandmother's voice saying something she can't quite hear. In the morning, she takes the bus downtown. The buildings grow taller. The sidewalks grow cleaner. The people walk faster, their eyes fixed on phones, their briefcases swinging with purpose. Destiny clutches the letter in her hand. She doesn't know that her grandmother's name is still on the deed of the tallest building in downtown Atlanta. She doesn't know that the pendant around her neck, the small silver H, doesn't stand for Hayes. It stands for Hathaway. Hathaway Tower rises 45 stories into the Atlanta sky. Glass and steel catching the morning sun. A monument to money, to power, to the kind of success that ordinary people only read about. The lobby alone could swallow her grandmother's apartment 3 times over. Marble floors stretch in every direction, polished to a mirror shine so perfect she can see her own reflection looking back at her. Small, uncertain, out of place. The ceiling disappears into architectural darkness. The air conditioning hums at precisely 68 degrees. Everything is designed to make visitors feel insignificant. Destiny steps inside at 11:30 in the morning. She's late. The bus broke down twice. Her sneakers squeak against the marble. The sound echoes like an announcement. A woman in a red dress clicks past on heels that cost more than Destiny's monthly grocery budget. She doesn't look up. Destiny might as well be invisible. The reception desk sits in the center of the lobby like a throne. A blonde woman in her 30s looks up as Destiny approaches. Her eyes travel from Destiny's face to her shirt to her shoes. The inspection takes approximately 2 seconds. The judgment takes less. "Can I help you?" The tone suggests she doubts it. "I have an appointment, Suite 4401, with Mr. Foster." The receptionist's eyebrow rises a fraction of an inch, a practiced expression of skepticism. "Your name?" "Destiny Hayes." A pause. Fingers tap on a keyboard. The receptionist's expression shifts. Surprise, quickly hidden behind professional neutrality. "One moment." She picks up a phone, speaks quietly, nods, hangs up. "Elevators are to your left, 44th floor." Destiny turns toward the elevators. Relief washes through her. She made it. She belongs here. She has an appointment. She doesn't make it 3 steps. "Excuse me." The voice comes from behind her. Male, deep, accustomed to being obeyed, accustomed to the world arranging itself around his preferences. She turns. A man stands near the private elevator bank. Late 50s. Silver hair swept back from a tanned forehead. His suit is gray, perfectly tailored, the kind of suit that whispers money rather than shouting it. A gold watch gleams on his wrist. Patek Philippe. She doesn't know the brand, but she knows it's expensive. Everything about him is expensive. Everything about him says, "I own this space." He walks toward her. His shoes make no sound on the marble, like a predator approaching prey. "This is a private building." Destiny holds up the letter. "I have an appointment, Suite 4401. He doesn't look at the letter. He looks at her. His eyes narrow. Something flickers across his face. Recognition, maybe, or calculation. He studies her like he's solving a problem, like he's already decided the answer. "With who?" A thin smile. Cold. "The cleaning crew?" Destiny doesn't answer. She turns back toward the elevators. He steps in front of her, blocking her path. His cologne is overwhelming, sandalwood and something sharp underneath. Aggression dressed up as sophistication. "I know your type." His voice drops. Quiet. Venomous. Meant only for her. Disgusting fake heiress running scams on decent people. The words hang in the air. Disgusting. Fake. Scam. Decent people. As if she's not one of them. As if her very presence contaminates the space. Destiny meets his eyes. She doesn't speak. She doesn't move. Her grandmother's voice echoes in her head. "Stand straight. Speak true. Let them show you who they are." And then he spits. The glob of saliva leaves his mouth in a precise arc. Deliberate. Calculated. It lands on her right cheek. Warm. Wet. It begins to slide downward toward her jaw. The lobby goes silent. The receptionist freezes. The security guard looks up. A woman stops mid-stride, her hand moving slowly toward her pocket. Somewhere, an elevator dings. Destiny stands perfectly still. She doesn't wipe her face. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't cry. Gerald Morrison, CEO of Morrison Development Group. Net worth approximately $300 million. 4 civil lawsuits for racial discrimination, all settled out of court, all sealed under confidentiality agreements. A man who has never faced consequences for anything in his life. He waits for her to break. She doesn't. The woman 10 feet away has her phone out now. Camera app open. Red recording light blinking. She presses record. Morrison doesn't notice. His eyes are fixed on Destiny. "Security!" he calls without looking away. "Remove this woman from the building." 2 guards approach. Large men. Professional faces. Hands reaching. Destiny still hasn't moved. The spit continues its slow journey down her cheek. The guards' hands close around Destiny's arms. Their grips are firm. Not painful, but absolute. Professional. The kind of grip that says, "This is happening whether you cooperate or not." She feels their fingers pressing through the thin cotton of her shirt. "Let's go," one of them says. His voice is flat. Bored, almost. He's done this before. Removed people who don't belong. People who look like her. "I was invited," Destiny says. Her voice is steady. Calm. "I have a letter." They don't look at the letter. They don't slow down. They don't ask questions. The marble floor slides beneath her sneakers. She's not walking. She's being moved. Transported. The security guards propel her toward the revolving doors with the efficiency of men following a script they've memorized. Remove the problem. Don't think about whether it's actually a problem. Morrison follows at a distance. His phone is already at his ear. His voice carries across the lobby, confident, amused, certain of his own righteousness. "Yes, a trespasser. Young, black, claiming she had an appointment." He laughs, short, dismissive, a laugh that says, "Can you believe these people?" "No, obviously not. Call the police, I want her arrested." The revolving door spins. Destiny is deposited on the sidewalk like a piece of unwanted mail, like garbage being taken out. The Atlanta sun hits her face. March. Warm, but not hot. The street smells like exhaust and hot dogs from the cart on the corner. People walk past, business people in suits, tourists with cameras, a mother pushing a stroller. Some glance over, most don't. A black girl being removed from a fancy building. Nothing unusual, nothing worth stopping for. Destiny stands on the curb. The spit has dried on her cheek. It feels tight now, like a mask she didn't choose to wear, like a scar that hasn't healed. Morrison emerges from the building. He stands 15 feet away, still on his phone, still laughing. His posture radiates satisfaction. Victory. Definitely press charges, he says. Trespassing. Maybe attempted fraud. These people always have an angle, always trying to get something they haven't earned. These people. Destiny's hands curl into fists at her sides. Her nails dig into her palms, but she doesn't move, doesn't shout. Her grandmother's voice echoes in her head. Let them show you who they are. The truth always comes out. 8 minutes later, a police cruiser pulls up. The lights aren't flashing, no siren, just a quiet arrival. Routine. Officer Daniel Brooks steps out, mid-30s, clean uniform, tired eyes. He's worked this beat long enough to know that calls from buildings like Hathaway Tower mean paperwork and politics. Mean, wealthy people who expect the law to bend in their direction. What seems to be the problem? Morrison lowers his phone, straightens his tie, puts on a concerned citizen expression. This woman attempted to gain unauthorized access to my building. She claimed to have an appointment, but she's obviously lying. Look at her. He gestures dismissively. Does she look like she belongs here? I want her arrested for trespassing. Brooks looks at Destiny. His expression is neutral, careful. Ma'am? Destiny holds out the letter, the cream-colored envelope, the official letterhead. I received this yesterday. It invited me to a meeting at Suite 4401, today at 10 a.m. I arrived late because the bus broke down, twice. When I tried to go upstairs, this man, she gestures at Morrison, blocked my path, called me a disgusting fake heiress, and spit in my face. Brooks takes the letter, reads it. His eyebrows rise, just slightly, but enough. Foster and Associates, he murmurs. That's a real firm. Old firm. Respected. The letter is fake, Morrison says. His voice has an edge now, a hint of uncertainty. Obviously. She probably printed it herself. It looks authentic to me, sir. Letterhead, embossed seal, case number. Then she forged it. Morrison's voice sharpens. Are you going to do your job, officer, or do I need to call your supervisor? Your captain? Your chief? Because I know all of them. Brooks' jaw tightens, just slightly, a muscle flickering. He turns back to Destiny. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to wait here while I verify this. Am I being arrested? Not yet. Just wait here. Please. Destiny sits down on the curb. The concrete is warm from the sun, rough against her palms. She watches the traffic pass. Taxis, delivery trucks, a man on a bicycle weaving between cars. Ordinary life, flowing around her like water around a stone. Morrison paces nearby. His phone rings. He answers with a sharp, "What?" Then walks away, voice dropping to a murmur. His body language has changed, less confident, more agitated. People gather, a small crowd. 10 people, then 20. Some have phones out, recording. In the age of viral videos, everyone is a witness. The woman from the lobby, the one in the business suit, stands at the edge of the sidewalk. Her phone is still in her hand. The video is still recording, 43 seconds and counting. Inside Hathaway Tower, security cameras capture everything. Timestamp 11:42:17 a.m. March 14th. The footage shows Morrison's approach from 3 different angles. His words are inaudible, but his body language speaks clearly. Aggressive, intimidating, predatory. It shows the spit leaving his mouth in a perfect arc. It shows Destiny standing perfectly still. This footage will matter. Later, Officer Brooks makes 2 phone calls. The first is to the precinct. Routine check. The second is to a number on the letterhead. Foster and Associates. His expression changes during the second call. His posture shifts. His voice becomes different, more respectful. When he hangs up, he walks back to Destiny. His voice is different now, careful, almost apologetic. Ma'am, the law office confirms you have a legitimate appointment. They're sending someone down right now. I'm sorry for the confusion. Destiny nods. She doesn't gloat. She doesn't say I told you so. Morrison has stopped pacing. He's watching. His phone hangs forgotten in his hand. His face has gone slightly pale. That's impossible, he says. She's nobody. Look at her. Brooks doesn't respond. A black sedan pulls around the corner. Mercedes. New. It slides to the curb with the quiet confidence of expensive engineering. The door opens. Theodore Foster steps out of the Mercedes. Silver hair, navy suit, leather briefcase. 62 years of dignified authority in every line of his face. The kind of man who doesn't need to raise his voice because people listen anyway. He walks directly to Destiny. Doesn't spare Morrison a glance. His attention is entirely focused on the young woman sitting on the curb with dried spit on her face. Miss Hayes. His voice is warm, apologetic. I am so sorry for the delay. Traffic was terrible. He extends his hand, helps her to her feet. Are you all right? She nods. The dried spit still marks her cheek like evidence. Foster's eyes track to the residue. His expression doesn't change outwardly, but something hardens behind his gaze, something cold and sharp. He reaches into his pocket, withdraws a pressed handkerchief, white cotton, monogrammed with his initials. May I? Destiny takes it. For the first time since the spit landed, she wipes her face. Foster turns to Officer Brooks. His movements are unhurried, deliberate. A man who knows exactly how much power he holds. Officer, I'm Theodore Foster, attorney at law. This young woman is a client of mine. She was invited to this building by me on behalf of Hathaway Industries. He produces a document from his briefcase, printed on company letterhead, official seal, signatures, unambiguous. Brooks examines it, looks at Morrison, looks back at the paper. His expression says, I'm glad I didn't make an arrest. Sir, his voice is carefully flat. It appears she was invited. Morrison takes a step forward. His face is flushed now. That's impossible. She's a what, Mr. Morrison? Foster's question cuts through the air like a scalpel. Clean, precise, devastating. Silence. Morrison's mouth opens, closes, opens again. No words come out. For perhaps the first time in his life, Gerald Morrison has nothing to say. The crowd on the sidewalk has grown. 30 people now, maybe more. Phones are out, recording. The woman in the business suit, Patricia Webb, accountant, mother of two, is still filming. Her video will be viewed 500,000 times in the next 24 hours. Miss Hayes, Foster gestures toward the building with quiet authority. Shall we go upstairs? We have a meeting. Destiny stands. Her legs are steady. Her hands don't shake. Her chin is lifted. She walks past Morrison. Doesn't look at him. Doesn't acknowledge him. He's not worth acknowledging. They enter the lobby. The blonde receptionist watches them pass. Her face is carefully blank, but her eyes are wide. She'll remember this moment for years. The elevator doors open. Destiny and Foster step inside. The doors close. For a moment, neither speaks. The elevator rises smoothly, floor by floor. Then Foster says quietly, "There's something your grandmother didn't get to tell you." Destiny looks at him. Waits. Her heart is beating fast now, but her face remains calm. Eleanor Hayes was not just a bookkeeper, Destiny. She was the widow of William Hathaway, founder of Hathaway Industries. When he died in 1989, she inherited his entire estate. The elevator rises. Floor 20, 25, 30. The company, the building, the investments, everything. Destiny's hand moves to the pendant at her throat. the silver H. But the board... Foster pauses, choosing his words carefully. The board had other ideas. They convinced Eleanor to step back. For her own good, they said. For the good of the company. She agreed because she was grieving. Because she trusted them. Because she didn't have the energy to fight. Floor 35. 40. 42. She kept her shares. 51%. Majority control. But she never exercised it. She lived quietly. She raised you. She waited. Waited for what? The elevator slows. Floor 44. For you to be ready. The doors open. A long corridor stretches before them. At the end, double doors. Brass handles. Conference room 4401. Your grandmother left everything to you, Destiny. You are the majority shareholder of Hathaway Industries. This building, this company, the $2.3 billion in assets. It all belongs to you. Below them, on the sidewalk, Gerald Morrison watches the elevator numbers climb. For the first time in his life, his hand trembles. The video goes viral in 24 hours. Patricia Webb, accountant, mother of two, ordinary woman who happened to be in the right place at the right time, uploads the footage to Twitter at 6:48 p.m. on March 14th. She doesn't add commentary. She doesn't need to. The video speaks for itself. The clip is 43 seconds long. It shows Gerald Morrison stepping in front of Destiny. His mouth moves. The audio captures 3 words clearly. Disgusting fake heiress. Then the spit. A visible arc of saliva crossing the frame. Then Destiny's face, perfectly still, perfectly dignified, perfectly refusing to break. By midnight, the video has 200,000 views. By morning, it has 500,000. By noon on March 15th, hashtag Hathaway Spitter is trending in 6 states. Hashtag Justice for Destiny appears an hour later. Both hashtags climb toward national trending. Nina Coleman sees the video at her desk in the Atlanta Chronicle newsroom. She's 45 years old, 22 years in journalism, 3 Pulitzer nominations, 0 tolerance for powerful men who abuse their power and expect to face no consequences. She recognizes Morrison immediately. Nina has been tracking Gerald Morrison for 3 years. She has a folder on her computer, thick, growing, full of allegations that never quite became stories. Complaints that were withdrawn suddenly. Lawsuits that were settled quietly. Witnesses who stopped returning calls without explanation. 4 civil cases, all claiming racial discrimination, all involving women of color, all dismissed or settled with confidentiality agreements that included severe financial penalties for speaking out. Morrison has never faced real consequences. He's never even faced real questions. Until now. Nina picks up the phone, calls the East Side Community Center, asks for Destiny Hayes. They meet 3 days later. A coffee shop on Peachtree Street. Neutral ground, public but quiet. Destiny tells her story. The letter, the lobby, the spit, the guards, the lawyer, the revelation. Nina listens, takes notes, asks careful questions. Her reporter's instincts are firing on all cylinders. The lawyer, Foster, what did he tell you upstairs? Destiny hesitates, then deciding to trust. My grandmother owned shares in Hathaway Industries, a lot of shares. How much is a lot? 51%. Nina's pen stops moving. She looks up. Majority control. Yes. And the board didn't tell you? Didn't contact you for how long? 10 years. Since my grandmother stepped back from the company. Nina writes quickly. Her mind is already racing ahead, connecting dots, building a structure. This isn't just a story about a man spitting on a girl. This is a story about systemic corruption, about racism, about a conspiracy to steal a young black woman's inheritance. Can I see the documentation? Destiny slides a folder across the table. Inside, her grandmother's death certificate, a copy of the will, notarized and witnessed, a letter from Foster and Associates outlining the estate and its value. Nina photographs everything. That night, she begins digging, really digging. The kind of digging that keeps you awake until 3 a.m. and ruins your weekends. The first discovery comes from the Fulton County Courthouse. 4 civil lawsuits against Gerald Morrison, filed between 2015 and 2022. Case numbers: 2015-CV-198234, 2017-CV-223891, 2019-CV-228156, 2022-CV-267432. The details are sealed, but the pattern is clear. All plaintiffs were women. All plaintiffs were black. All cases ended the same way: sudden settlement, confidentiality agreement, silence. The second discovery comes from a source inside Hathaway Industries, a mid-level manager who's worked there for 15 years. They speak on condition of anonymity, voice disguised, location hidden, fear evident in every word. They knew, the source says. Everyone on the board knew about Eleanor Hayes, knew she was the majority shareholder, knew she had a granddaughter who would inherit everything. Why didn't they reach out? Why didn't they inform her? Because then they'd have to share power, share money, share control. The source's voice drops. The board has been running this company like their personal piggy bank for a decade. Executive bonuses, private jets, country club memberships. They weren't going to let some old woman and her granddaughter take that away. Nina presses. Can you prove any of this? Silence. A long exhale. Then, check the board minutes from 2014 and the internal emails from 2018, if you can get them. The emails are harder to find, much harder, but not impossible, not for a reporter who's been doing this for 22 years. A week later, Nina receives an anonymous package, no return address, no note, just a manila envelope containing printed copies of internal correspondence. One email stands out, dated October 14, 2018, from Richard Caldwell, chairman of the board, to the other 6 members. Subject: R.E. Succession matter, confidential. Body: the Hayes estate matter should remain dormant. No outreach, no acknowledgement. If asked, we were unaware of any living heirs. Maintain current position. Nina reads it 3 times. Each time her jaw tightens. The board didn't just fail to contact Eleanor Hayes, they actively decided to hide her existence, to pretend they didn't know, to keep the money and power flowing to themselves while a grieving grandmother and her orphaned granddaughter lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. She finds more. Board minutes from January 2014. 7 men in a conference room, voting unanimously to table the succession question indefinitely due to ongoing legal review. There was no legal review, no lawsuit, no dispute. Nothing was pending. Just 7 men deciding to ignore a black woman's rightful inheritance. In 10 years, the board awarded itself $48 million in executive compensation. Figures estimated from public filings. Fictional extrapolation for narrative purposes. $48 million that should have been reported to the majority shareholder. $48 million taken while Eleanor Hayes budgeted for groceries and Destiny wore secondhand clothes. Nina writes her first article on March 19th. Headline: The Millionaire and the Heiress. What Hathaway doesn't want you to know. It details everything. The video, the spitting, the slur, the 4 previous lawsuits, the hidden shareholder, the board's decade of silence and self-enrichment. The article is shared 50,000 times in the first day. Comment sections explode with outrage. Twitter threads multiply. News anchors begin asking questions. CNN reaches out. MSNBC reaches out. The story has legs. And inside Hathaway Tower, in the boardroom on the 44th floor, 7 men sit around a mahogany table and realize they have a very serious problem. One of them, James Whitmore, the youngest member at 55, looks more uncomfortable than the others. He shifts in his seat, avoids eye contact. His hands grip the armrests of his chair so tightly his knuckles turn white. He knows what they did. He went along with it. But he's starting to wonder if he can keep going along with it. Because James Whitmore has a daughter. She's 15 years old. And when he watched that video, when he saw that 17-year-old black girl standing perfectly still while a grown man's spit slid down her face, he thought about his daughter. He thought about what kind of man he's become. He thought about what happens next. If you've ever been underestimated because of how you look, dismissed before you even opened your mouth, write it in the comments. Destiny needs to know she's not alone. And honestly, so do I. The lawsuit arrives on March 26th, 12 days after the spitting incident. Delivered by messenger to Theodore Foster's office at 9:07 a.m., Gerald Morrison and the Hathaway Industries Board of Directors versus Destiny Hayes. Filed in Fulton County Superior Court. Case number 2024-CV-156892. The charges: fraud, identity theft, trespassing, intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation. The core claim: Destiny Hayes is not the legitimate heir to Eleanor Hayes' estate. The documents she possesses are sophisticated forgeries. Her presence at Hathaway Tower was part of an elaborate scam designed to extort money from innocent business leaders. The lawsuit demands $200 million in damages. The news breaks at 4 p.m. By 5, it's on every local station. By 6, it's national. Morrison holds a press conference outside his office building. Cameras flash. Microphones cluster like hungry animals. His lawyer stands beside him, grim-faced and expensive. "I am the victim here," Morrison says. His voice is steady, practiced. He's rehearsed this. "A young woman appeared at my building with forged documents, claiming to be someone she isn't. When I attempted to have her removed, she created a scene. She manufactured outrage. She weaponized social media against me." He pauses, looks directly into the cameras with practiced sincerity. "The truth will come out. This woman is a fraud, and I will not rest until justice is served." Through his attorney, Morrison releases a written statement. The allegations against Mr. Morrison are baseless and defamatory. He was simply asking an unidentified individual to leave private property, as any property owner has the right to do. Any claims of racial motivation are categorically false and deeply offensive. The statement is reprinted in a dozen publications. Opinion pieces appear, questioning the narrative. Some commentators suggest that maybe, possibly, the viral video doesn't tell the whole story. Maybe this girl isn't who she claims to be. The tide begins to turn. Not entirely, not for everyone, but enough to create doubt. Enough to give Morrison room to operate. Nina Coleman receives the first threat on March 27th. An anonymous text message, sent from a burner number. No identifying information. 3 words: "Stop digging now." She screenshots it, saves it to 3 different locations, keeps digging. The second threat comes the next day. A voicemail on her work phone. Disguised voice. Robotic. Synthesized. "You're making powerful enemies. Enemies who can end your career overnight. Think carefully about what you're doing. Think about your future." She saves that too. Evidence is evidence. Her editor calls her into his office. "How solid is your sourcing?" "Solid. Documented. On the record where it counts." "Solid enough for a lawsuit?" "Solid enough for the truth." He nods slowly. "Then keep going. But watch your back. Destiny faces her own version of the assault. Social media turns on her overnight. The same platforms that celebrated her dignity now question her motives. The same people who called her brave now call her suspicious. Hashtags emerge. Hashtag fake heiress. Hashtag scammer Destiny. Hashtag believe Morrison. Anonymous accounts post her school photos, her home address, the actual apartment number, her grandmother's obituary with cruel comments added, a photo of her at the community center with the caption, "Practicing her innocent act." The comments section becomes a war zone. Gold digger. Hood rat. She probably planned this whole thing from the start. These people will do anything for money. These people. Destiny deletes her Instagram, then her Twitter, then her Facebook. The silence feels like defeat. She sits alone in her grandmother's apartment. The lavender scent has faded to almost nothing. The silence feels heavier than before. The walls feel closer. At the East Side Community Center, opinions split. Some volunteers stand by her publicly. Others whisper behind her back. She hears the whispers. She pretends not to. "I don't know," one woman says to another, not realizing Destiny is in the next room. "The video looked bad, but what if he's right? What if she made the whole thing up? People do that now, for attention, for money." Theodore Foster is threatened too. A letter from Hathaway's legal team arrives at his office, hand-delivered. It accuses him of ethical violations, conflict of interest, abuse of fiduciary duty, malpractice. "They're trying to get me disbarred," Ted tells Destiny. They're sitting in his office. The city sprawls below them through floor-to-ceiling windows. "If they succeed, you lose your lawyer. You lose access to the documents. You lose the ability to fight." What do we do? We don't quit. That's exactly what they want. They're betting the pressure will make you give up. Walk away. Disappear. Destiny thinks about her grandmother, about the pendant around her neck, about the 10 years Eleanor spent in silence, waiting, protecting, hoping. "I'm not giving up." Ted almost smiles. "Good. Because they haven't seen what I have yet. They don't know what's coming." He doesn't elaborate, but there's something in his eyes. Knowledge, ammunition, a weapon he hasn't deployed. Outside the window, the sun sets over Atlanta. The Hathaway Tower catches the last light, glowing orange and gold against the darkening sky. Inside the tower, Richard Caldwell convenes an emergency board meeting. The agenda has one item: damage control. But one seat at the table is noticeably empty. James Whitmore sent his regrets. "Family emergency," he claimed. The truth is simpler. He couldn't look his colleagues in the eye anymore. The apartment is dark when Destiny unlocks the door. She doesn't turn on the lights. Not right away. She stands in the entrance, keys still in her hand, breathing air that no longer smells like lavender. 3 months. That's how long it takes for a scent to fade, for a presence to become an absence, for a home to become just a place where you sleep. She walks to the kitchen, opens the refrigerator. The light spills out, harsh and white. Inside, half a carton of milk, some leftover rice, an orange that's starting to shrivel. She closes the door, stands in the darkness again. Her phone is turned off. She can't look at it anymore. Every notification is another attack. Another stranger calling her a fraud. Another comment suggesting she deserves what's happening to her. She sits on the couch, her grandmother's couch. The cushions still hold the indent of Eleanor's body, a slight dip on the left side where she always sat. Destiny traces the dip with her fingers. "I don't know what to do," she whispers. To no one. To the empty room. To a woman who can't answer. She thinks about giving up. Just walking away. Letting them have the company, the money, the victory. Going back to her life as it was, small, invisible, safe. But that life is gone now. The video made sure of that. She can't be invisible anymore. She can only be defeated or defiant. She stands, walks to her grandmother's bedroom. The room is preserved like a museum exhibit. Bed made, pillows arranged, a glass of water on the nightstand, evaporated to nothing over 3 months. Destiny opens the nightstand drawer. Papers, old receipts, a pair of reading glasses, and there, underneath everything, a sealed envelope. Cream-colored, like the one from the law office. But this one is handwritten. For Destiny. When you're ready. Her grandmother's handwriting. Careful, elegant, old-fashioned. Destiny's hands shake as she opens it. 3 pages, thin paper, blue ink. My dear Destiny, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and you've learned the truth. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I wanted to protect you. I wanted you to have a normal childhood, without the weight of all this money, all these expectations. But you deserve to know who you are. Your grandfather, William Hathaway, built something extraordinary. When he died, I tried to carry on his work, but the men on the board, they didn't want a woman in charge. They convinced me to step back, to be quiet, to let them run things. I was a coward. I was grieving. I was tired. But you are stronger than I was. The company is yours, Destiny. Not just legally, but morally. Your grandfather built it with his hands. Your grandmother protected it with her silence. Now it's your turn to decide what it becomes. Trust Ted. He's a good man. He'll help you. And remember, dignity is not given. It's claimed. I love you. I always will. Grandma Destiny reads the letter 3 times. By the 3rd reading, she's crying. Not sad tears, not defeated tears. Something else. Something harder. Something that feels like the first spark of a fire. She folds the letter, places it over her heart. The pendant around her neck, the silver H, catches the moonlight from the window. H for Hathaway. She picks up her phone, turns it on, ignores the notifications. She finds Nina Coleman's number. She presses call. This is the darkest moment. But stay, because the light is coming. Nina answers on the 2nd ring. Destiny, I was hoping you'd call. I'm not giving up. Good, because I found something. They meet the next morning. This time, Nina brings reinforcements. Martha Davis is 68 years old, gray hair pulled back in a neat bun, hands that have typed 1 million memos, eyes that have seen things she's never been allowed to discuss. For 30 years, Martha was Eleanor Hayes's personal assistant at Hathaway Industries. She was there when William died. She was there when Eleanor stepped back. She was there when the board began its silent takeover. And then, one day in 2015, she was suddenly not there anymore. They offered me early retirement, Martha says, with conditions. I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Complete confidentiality. They said it was standard procedure. Was it? No. Martha's jaw tightens. It was a gag order. They didn't want me talking about Eleanor, about her shares, about the decisions being made without her consent. Why are you talking now? Because I saw that video. That girl standing there, not crying, not running. She reminded me of Eleanor. Eleanor in her better days, before the board wore her down. Martha looks at Destiny. Your grandmother was a good woman, a strong woman. She deserved better than what they gave her. And so do you. Nina records the interview. 30 minutes of detailed recollection. Names, dates, meetings, decisions made in rooms where Martha stood silently in the corner, taking notes no one thought she'd remember. The video goes online that afternoon. Nina posts it on the Chronicle's website with a simple headline. Former employee speaks out. The board knew everything. The response is immediate. Hashtag Justice for Destiny trends within hours. The hashtag spreads across platforms, across states, across demographics. At the East Side Community Center, a group of volunteers organizes a rally. Word spreads through churches, barbershops, beauty salons. By Saturday, 200 people gather in the parking lot. They wear white shirts. They carry signs. We believe destiny. Dignity is not for sale. Justice delayed is justice denied. Local news covers the event. National outlets pick up the story. Meanwhile, new allies emerge. The ACLU contacts Theodore Foster. They want to provide pro bono support, legal firepower, resources. Officer Daniel Brooks, the cop from that first day, reaches out to Nina. He's willing to testify that Morrison's request to arrest Destiny had no legal basis, that the letter was clearly legitimate, that he was pressured to act against his better judgment. And James Whitmore, the youngest board member, the one who's been avoiding meetings, makes a phone call. Mr. Foster, my name is James Whitmore. I'm on the Hathaway board. A pause. I think we should talk. They meet in a parking garage. Ted's idea. Neutral ground, no cameras, no witnesses. James Whitmore looks like a man who hasn't slept in days. His suit is wrinkled. His eyes are red. His hands won't stop moving. I can't do this anymore, he says. I can't pretend I don't know what happened. Ted waits, silent, patient. Whitmore reaches into his jacket, withdraws a folded piece of paper. This is a printout of an email sent by Gerald Morrison to the entire board of directors, March 13th, 2024. One day before the incident, Ted takes the paper, unfolds it, reads. The email is brief, 3 sentences. The Hayes girl is coming tomorrow. I've seen her file. She looks nothing like old money. I'll handle it. She'll give up. Ted reads it again, slowly. He knew. Yes. Morrison knew who Destiny was before she ever walked into that building. Yes. He knew she was the legitimate heir. And he spit on her anyway. Whitmore's voice drops to a whisper. He thought he could scare her off, make her so humiliated, so traumatized that she'd walk away, give up her claim, disappear. And the board? We all received this email. No one objected, no one said anything. Whitmore's hands are shaking now. We let it happen. We let him do it, because we thought it would work. Ted folds the paper, places it in his briefcase. Why are you telling me this now? Whitmore looks at the concrete floor, at his expensive shoes, at the oil stains and the cigarette butts and the ordinary ugliness of a parking garage where a man's conscience finally breaks. Because I have a daughter. She's 15. And when I saw that video, when I saw that girl standing there, not crying, not breaking, I thought about my daughter. I thought about what I would do if someone treated her that way. He looks up. I can't be part of this anymore. I won't. That night, Nina publishes the email. Headline: The Conspiracy. Morrison knew before he spit. The article details everything. The email, the timeline, the premeditation. What Morrison did wasn't a spontaneous act of prejudice. It was a calculated attack designed to strip a 17-year-old girl of her inheritance. The response is volcanic. 200,000 shares in 6 hours. News networks interrupt programming to cover the development. Legal experts appear on cable shows discussing criminal liability, civil conspiracy, potential fraud charges. Morrison's lawyer resigns the next morning. No statement, no explanation, just a terse email to the court. Counsel withdraws representation effective immediately. Morrison goes silent. No press conferences, no statements, no tweets. Inside Hathaway Tower, the board convenes an emergency meeting. This time, all seats are filled. But the mood is different. The confidence is gone. The men who once controlled a $2 billion company now look like defendants waiting for a verdict. The ACLU files a motion. Emergency board meeting. Shareholder rights. Immediate resolution of the succession question. The court grants the motion. March 22nd, 10 a.m. Conference room 4401. Destiny Hayes will finally take her seat at the table. March 22nd, 9:49 a.m. Destiny stands outside Hathaway Tower. The same marble lobby, the same revolving doors, the same fluorescent lights that cast no shadows. She wears a white button-down shirt, the same one she wore 8 days ago. Clean, pressed, defiant. Around her neck, the silver H pendant rests outside her collar. Visible, intentional. She takes a breath, steps inside. The lobby falls silent. Employees stop walking. Conversations freeze. Every eye turns toward the 17-year-old girl who once sat on this building's curb with spit drying on her face. She walks to the elevator. Her sneakers squeak against the marble. She doesn't look left or right. She doesn't slow down. The elevator rises. 44 floors. The doors open. Conference room 4401. Theodore Foster waits outside. Beside him, the ACLU lawyers. 3 of them. Calm, prepared, ready. "Are you okay?" Ted asks. Destiny nods. "Then let's end this." The doors swing open. The boardroom is enormous. Mahogany table, leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Atlanta. 7 men sit around the table, 6 on one side, James Whitmore on the other. At the far end, Gerald Morrison. His face is pale. His hands rest flat on the table as if pressing down might stop them from shaking. Destiny takes her seat, directly across from Morrison. Her eyes meet his. She doesn't look away. Ted speaks first. He presents the documents. Eleanor Hayes's death certificate. The will, notarized and witnessed. Destiny's birth certificate. The original, not the edited copy the board tried to use against her. He presents the email. Morrison's email. The one that proves premeditation. He presents the board minutes, the internal memos, the decade of silence and self-enrichment. Richard Caldwell, chairman, is given the floor. "The board acted in good faith," he says. His voice wavers. "We believed the estate matter was under legal review." Ted's response is immediate. "Under legal review for 10 years? While you paid yourselves $48 million in bonuses? While the majority shareholder lived in a 2-bedroom apartment on a fixed income?" Silence. Morrison tries to speak. "This is a scam. She's not..." Destiny stands. The room goes quiet. "You spit on me." Her voice is calm, steady, unbroken. "You called me disgusting. You called me a fake. You tried to have me arrested. You tried to destroy me." She pauses. "But I am Eleanor Hayes's granddaughter. I am William Hathaway's heir. And I am the majority shareholder of this company." She looks around the table, at each man in turn. "This meeting is over. You will resign. You will face the consequences of what you did. And you will never treat anyone the way you treated me." Silence. 10 seconds. 20. James Whitmore stands. He bows his head. One by one, the other board members rise. They bow. Richard Caldwell, the board secretary, the treasurer, the vice chairman. Morrison is last. He tries to stand. His knees buckle. He grips the edge of the table, knuckles white, face drained of blood. His eyes roll. For a moment, everyone thinks he might collapse. He doesn't. He bows. Destiny doesn't smile, doesn't gloat, doesn't say a word. She simply nods. Meeting adjourned. 30 days later. Destiny stands outside Hathaway Tower. The morning sun catches the glass facade, turning it gold. A breeze carries the scent of spring, fresh grass, distant flowers, the promise of warmth after a long winter. In her hands, she holds a small bouquet, lavender, her grandmother's favorite. She walks to the small plaza in front of the building. A bronze statue stands there. William Hathaway, founder, rendered in eternal metal. Her grandfather, the man she never knew. She places the lavender at the statue's feet. Inside the tower, everything has changed. Richard Caldwell and 4 board members have resigned. James Whitmore is the new chairman, with a mandate for transparency and accountability. Gerald Morrison faces criminal charges, assault, conspiracy to defraud, obstruction of justice. His trial begins next month. Nina Coleman won an Investigative Journalism Award. Officer Daniel Brooks received a commendation for ethical conduct. And Destiny? She established the Eleanor Hayes Foundation. Scholarships for first-generation college students. Mentorship programs. Resources for young people who were told they didn't belong. She still volunteers at the East Side Community Center. She still waters the plants. She still listens to Mr. Coleman's Navy stories. The pendant around her neck catches the light. The silver H. Hathaway. Dignity doesn't depend on your bank account or your skin color. Sometimes the truth just needs time to speak. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like, subscribe, because Destiny's story is just beginning. And maybe, somewhere, another 17-year-old is standing in a lobby, being told she doesn't belong. Maybe she needs to hear this. Maybe she's listening right now.